rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
You know, I think we could call this period of time for us Star Wars fans sort of the great wait. We just had this onslaught of new Star Wars content with Andor Season 2. We had Tales of the Underworld. Jimmy Mack and I, we had the Forest Moon Festival. So we had all this Star Wars concentrated, Celebration Japan, all these announcements, and now it's back to waiting. Waiting for new Star Wars and, of course, dissecting all of the news, the rumors. And let's face it, that's really where the fun is to be had, right? I mean, once you see it, it's great to see it, but then it's over. But the anticipation is really, for me, you know, it's that whole saying about it's not necessarily the destination as much as it is the journey. And that's what we do here on Rebel Force Radio, your source for the Force. We definitely are fellow travelers along the whole journey of fandom with you all. And so, yeah, the countdown begins as we look forward to things like Ahsoka Season 2, for example. How about that? We've got some concept art. Got it from what we consider a very reliable source. We're going to be taking a look at that. Concept art from Ahsoka Season 2. We got some stuff we're going to be talking about with the Darth Maul series. So, yeah, it's just a lot of stuff that we're looking forward to and bringing you those rumors, those news tidbits and all of that. Plus, Ashley Eckstein, speaking of Ahsoka, longtime friend of Rebel Force Radio, I believe we were one of her, if not her very first Star Wars interview ever. She was on a podcast recently and talked about the hashtag Ahsoka Lives. And let's just say she gave credit where credit is due. So all that and so much more. If we have time, we'll get into Star Wars and pop culture here this week on RFR. So great to be back with you. Hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. RFR coming off of our summer break. So I believe we are tanned, we are rested, and we are ready here on RFR. And by we, I mean my name is Jason. And with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. We're tanned, we're rested, we're aroused, we're erect, and we are ready to entertain. And yeah, you could tell I had some downtime there, and it was most enjoyable. The batteries are recharged. The Kyber crystal is firmly in place in my lightsaber hilt. And my lightsaber hilt has nothing to do with my initial comments.
You think those things are USB charged? Are they what charges the old Kyber crystal? I hope they don't change the port. Can you imagine you had a lightsaber all your life and they decide the new ones come out and you can't find the right cable anymore to charge it?
Oh, they changed the USB. It's like, oh no, this is a USB-C saber. What am I gonna do? They have mentioned in past Star Wars storytelling conundrums Jedis would encounter with lightsabers that were not fully charged. I recall like water being something that can short out a lightsaber.
I remember that too. In fact, I think I can't remember if it was Phantom Menace or if it was Attack of the Clones. There was a rumor, and I remember this very distinctly, reading this online, that there was going to be a moment where two Jedi were fighting and it starts to rain and their sabers go out and then they have to go in and get physical. Do you remember that rumor?
I don't remember, but I like that idea. Like the sabers don't work, so they have to resort to hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
But I know that there was something that I think may have existed in the actual script for The Phantom Menace and may have actually been shot, where Obi-Wan's saber shorts out after they go diving in Naboo to Uta Gunga. Do you recall anything about that?
I do remember that. In fact, yeah, because I haven't seen the footage, but I certainly have seen the stills from it, where you can see that, yeah, the saber has shorted out. So I wonder if George thought that better not do that because it's awfully limiting, because you can't have cool lightsaber battles in the rain, which is a pretty cool visual.
There was a rumor that I heard also leading up to episode 2, where there would be a moment where Obi-Wan Kenobi draws his saber when he's having a battle with Jango Fett on that landing platform on Kamino. That Obi-Wan, when he would draw his saber, he would hold it. He'd be just kind of frozen in like a martial arts stance, and the raindrops from Kamino would hit the saber, and you'd hear a sizzle sound when they would hit.
Uh-huh.
Psst, psst, psst. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. And I think in the Genndy Tartakovsky micro series, there was some kind of deal with lightsaber shorting out, maybe in the Kit Fisto episode. But I'm just riffing off the top of my head. So
yeah. It's been a while for some of this stuff. But yeah, that was a really cool battle where you saw a lightsaber being used in the rain on right there on Kamino.
In the Genndy series, they actually do realize that idea of raindrops hitting the saber blade. It's when in the second season when Anakin has the showdown against Asajj on Yavin. I believe, yes, there is a moment where the raindrops are hitting the saber blades and you hear this sizzle and see a little smoke, a little puff of steam, I should say. And that's a great concept.
Right. That's when he gets his scar, folks. Well, at least in one version of the canon.
Right. That scar has several different origin stories. But, yeah, you're right, though. It is kind of hurry up and wait in Star Wars. We did have just this big, huge avalanche of entertainment coming from Star Wars throughout the entire spring. In addition to the examples you brought up, remember, Revenge of the Sith also had a theatrical run during that time frame, and ILM, Light and Magic Season 2, debuted on Disney+. That documentary series is just so rich and full of just some of the best stuff. Yeah, sure, some of the stories we've heard before, but there are legitimate revelations being made by some of these creatives, and some outtake footage, too, which is I've never seen before with Frank Oz that I found pretty funny. So
Yeah. That was really... No one's going to be disappointed watching that.
Yeah, we're really into the making of stories when it comes to Star Wars, the behind the scenes stuff. We're really into that here at RFR, if you couldn't tell by now. I think that not every fan shares that kind of passion for, seeing how the sausage is made. But I think through some of our conversations and interactions and interviews, some fans find themselves suddenly turned on to that kind of thing. So quite honestly, in 1977, I didn't know what a director did or was until George Lucas. He was the first director I ever heard of. And once that curtain got pulled back a little bit, I dove headfirst into any sort of making of stories about Star Wars, any sort of recollections about and accounts about how everything was conceived and stuff. I'm currently going through probably my 5th or 6th re-listen to The Secret History of Star Wars audiobook, which is hosted by it's narrated by the great
Josh Thompson.
Josh Robert Thompson.
Yes.
I was I was thinking J.W. Rinsler. I'm like, no, that ain't right. But no, Josh Robert Thompson, who's a friend of ours here on the show, and he's a really great guy and does some incredible mimicry of voices, especially his real speciality is George Lucas, and then you have voices he does like that nobody does, like Francis Ford Coppola, like Steven Spielberg. Right. It's like, you swear to get Mark Hamill. I mean, he does these voices with such conviction. And so I've been reading that. And then also, Jason, I don't know if you received your copy, but I just got this great graphic novel called Lucas Wars. And it's going to be coming out this September. And we want you guys to know about it. It's a behind-the-scenes retelling of the making of the original Star Wars in graphic novel format. So, and the artwork is fantastic, and it's really great. And we'll be talking about that in upcoming weeks here on RFR.
Yeah, I'm about a third of the way through it. It's obviously a very fast read graphic novel, but really cool stuff. And maybe someday, Jim, that whole story will be dramatized in a film or a miniseries or something.
Yeah.
It'd be very cool. That's what kept playing through my head as I was reading through this.
Absolutely. I was thinking about that old Chewie script that Kyle Newman was shopping around Hollywood.
That's right.
Thinking, hey, that may have a second life, maybe.
Right.
Just,
Hey,
because
if you can make a document, or if you can make a series about the making of The Godfather, you can certainly make one about the making of Star Wars.
Right. Have you ever seen The Offer with
Niles? Been in my
what's his name?
queue
Miles Teller?
Yeah, it's been in my queue for the longest time. I have not watched it yet, but I will definitely get to it.
Dan Fogler as Francis Coppola. And he's fantastic in it, too. He's fantastic. So, that's worth checking out. And I would love to see some sort of live action dramatic retelling of the story of Star Wars, because it's a great story. Some of those 70s making of stories, like even Francis Ford Coppola's making of The Godfather, is really compelling stuff. Or even the most compelling making of story, I believe, is the documentary Hearts of Darkness, the making of Apocalypse Now. It's a great, great documentary, and it really highlights all of the struggles that Francis went through creating Apocalypse Now, which, by the way, was originally a George Lucas film. George was going to direct it, and George, he was writing it. He was working with John Milius on it, and Star Wars came before that, and Francis ran out of money, and it was Francis's and George's production company Zoetrope that was developing the film. So Francis just said, "Hey, I'm gonna direct this."
Well,
Star
they
Wars
had to make
boy.
good on it. They owed him the movie,
right?
Another thing too, because we just had over the 4th of July weekend. This was the big 50th anniversary of Jaws. And there was a ton of new content about that. There was a big convention that they did up in the Northeast where they actually filmed it. Richard Dreyfuss was back there. They had a replica of the Orca that was built and set sail, and Dreyfuss was on there and signing autographs. And I think the Kittner kid, I think he came back to life for
Alex Kittner lives.
Yeah, the actor.
Hashtag Alex Kittner lives.
Right.
Boy, his mom was pretty upset over nothing.
Right. I think she slapped Chief Brody, and here he is.
Did.
Here he is. No, you know what I was thinking as they were doing this, because there's a big documentary. I think it comes out this week on Hulu, the 50th for Jaws. And I was just thinking, okay, 50th anniversary. We've got a big 50th anniversary coming up here in a couple of years. So about a year and a half for Star Wars. So hopefully it gets similar or better treatment. But it was nice to see Jaws really acknowledged for the for what it meant to the industry. Blockbuster, really defining blockbuster even before Star Wars.
I was a tremendous Jaws fan. And even kind of a fan when it first came out back in 75. I was 6 years old, and I never saw the film. I mean, my God, don't take your 6-year-old to see Jaws. But I was aware of it, and I saw the marketing. I saw the posters. People were talking about it. There were even toys. So I was aware of it.
There was a game. Did you have the game? The Jaws game, yeah.
We had it with the spring-loaded jaw.
Right, right.
You go fishing and you'd pull out like a tire or a boot. but if you touched the side of the jaw's mouth, it would snap shut.
Right.
And I was, like I said, only 6, but boy, I was traumatized just by the marketing for that film. My parents took me to a dolphin show at the Brookfield Zoo when I was 6 years old, and the thing just mortified me. All I saw were those dorsal fins, and I lost it. Oh, and my mom and dad love telling that story, too. Oh, you should have seen him hiding behind his father. Oh, my God. They love telling that story.
But I was a victim. In the water. Yeah.
I was a victim of Jaws merchandising and marketing. Now, come on. I was a very impressionable 6-year-old.
Isn't that amazing about how, and maybe it still happens today, but I'm just obviously not a little kid, but you were too young for the film, but you were caught up in the momentum of the marketing, the merchandise, all that. So you still were a participant, even though you weren't the right age to see the movie. Right. I don't know if anything happens like that anymore.
Well,
or it's pretty rare.
Well, the way that pop culture was that everyone was exposed to the same thing. There was no niches that people were into. Even the most popular things nowadays, it's all very niche. It's everything targets a specific audience. You don't get mainstream entertainment anymore. The most mainstream stuff is so segmented and fragmented as far as their audiences go. And so there's pluses and negatives to all of that. But back in 1975, a 6-year-old couldn't escape Jaws. I'll tell you that right now. And I really am excited to hear you talking about behind-the-scenes documentaries and things. I'm going to go check all that stuff out. And some of that stuff's already dropped.
Yeah, there's a great Instagram, Jaws50. It's a great Instagram handle to follow. But this new documentary is coming out. It's Hulu, and I think by the time this show is live, it's either out or about to come out in the next day or two.
Great.
Yeah,
well, I'll definitely be tuned into that. But, we want to tune into Star Wars. And like you said, there was this year is really kind of top-loaded. Everything that got released was released in like 2 months in the first half of the year. So now we're looking at the second half of the year. And there are still things to look forward to. The sequel to Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy is going to be dropping this fall. And we have some info about that coming up later in the show, as you said, Jason. And then also we have Star Wars Vision Season 3, which will be dropping in, I believe, October. And I'm really looking forward to that, too. I was kind of late on the bus for the Star Wars Visions Season 2, but when I finally watched it, I was like, blown away by the whole thing. I'm wondering if I could get that same sort of magic with these Lego shows that I've been blowing off as well. Like, do you think if I'll sit down and finally go, okay, I'm going to binge the Freelander adventure. Do you think it's going to really have an effect on me? Or the Young Jedi Adventures. I'm going to settle in for the Young Jedi Adventures. I don't know.
But I will say that Rebuild the Galaxy had no business being as good and entertaining as it was, because it really was super entertaining, a great story, great vocal performances by the voice actors, and a lot of fun. But I'm not saying fun because it had nothing else to offer. It was a really interesting, fun take on the Star Wars galaxy.
It sure was. And I plan on giving it a solid rewatch before season 2, because I got to admit, my season 1 watch was, not as committed as I should have been as a viewer. There may have been some breaks here and there, maybe a nap thrown in somewhere. I remember waking up going, wait, that's Mark Hamill's voice. What the hell is going on with this show?
Right.
But he's not Luke, or is he Luke? What's going on with this show? So I really need to get back on board with it. It's really well done, and I'm really excited. Our buddy Ashley Eckstein's going to be in it. So looking forward to that. And then of course next year we got a list. We got Mando and Grogu film dropping in
May.
Late spring, May, right?
Yep.
Are they going to stick to that May?
I think they're going to stick to the May. I see them doing
Memorial Day. Yeah, they're going to stick. They're not going to push it. And then we have Ahsoka Season 2 that'll drop. I am speculating in the fall. It seems like that's fair.
I think
drop it in the fall. You have plenty of breathing room for the Mandalorian Grogu to go through its theatrical release, its streaming release, its home video release. And then, bam, you hit us with Ahsoka Season 2 in maybe September. Remember, Season 1 dropped in late August 2023. So we're looking at fall 2026 for Season 2. And man, these months just fly off the calendar. I can't believe we've already it's already been almost 2 years since Ahsoka Season 1.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I wish we would have had Rebel Force Radio when I was, we were all waiting in the original trilogy and then the prequel trilogy days. Those 3 years seemed like an eternity.
They sure did, man. But, we were keeping ourselves busy creating our own ventures with the action figures. And, I don't know if there's that kind of level of play that goes on. Maybe with the Lego. Maybe kids with the
That's
Lego.
Probably where it is
they
now.
Create their own adventures and stuff. I hope they do. I know my kids, when they were little, they would take my old action figures, come up with every kind of adventure that they could think of. Dylan had the Ewoks driving the Sandcrawler, and it was a whole messy non-canon
Talk
scene.
about rebuilding the galaxy.
I tolerated it, though. I tolerated it. We live in a canon household, I had to tell this young man, but he didn't seem to care, and when I saw the look on his innocent face, suddenly I didn't care either. So.
Awesome! Where's Luke? I need Luke. He's going down here. Hope you do. Dad, will you get the Sandcrawler?
What do you want?
Sandcrawler.
Well, don't get the Sandcrawler down. You're still playing with the Ewoks.
Well, the Ewoks will go in the Sandcrawler.
The Ewoks will go in the Sandcrawler? Hey, we're G-level.
What?
We are a G-level canon family. Do you understand me?
What does that mean?
Nah, forget it. I'll get the Sandcrawler.
Let them play. Let them play. Even if you value your Star Wars memorabilia, you got the action figures up on a shelf like I do or whatever, let the kids take them off the shelf and have some fun with it, as long as they're not being irresponsible and flushing them down the toilet or something, as some kids.
Well, I mean, look what we did with them. We buried them in the backyard. We stuck firecrackers up between their legs. I mean, we did all kinds of things. But I remember when I finally just gave in and just stopped caring. Whatever Parker wanted to grab, he could grab.
You have to stop being so precious about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they're toys, for crying out loud. Break them in.
When you find yourself yelling at your child for grabbing one of your toys, that's a humbling experience.
Right.
Yes. You get perspective real fast.
You spend a little bit of time staring at the mirror for a while, you know.
For sure.
What have I become? What have I done? So there's a lot to look forward to. Also next year, I don't know. I would almost speculate an early 2026 drop for the Maul Shadow Lord series.
That'd be nice.
Just trying to figure out where it fit in the schedule. I mean, maybe they want to drop that at the same time the Mando movie is in the theaters to like maximize Star Wars awareness. But something tells me, much like with the two Bad Batch seasons, those happened earlier in the year.
Yes.
And so I think maybe they'll stick the landing with this new addition to the Star Wars animation canon, Maul Shadow Lord, dropping early next year. I'm looking forward to it. I know our listeners are looking forward to it as well. And I think we have somebody talking about it in listener feedback.
Let's find out.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey, Jason and Jimmy, this is Paul V. from Phoenix. I'm calling in because I've been wanting to share the theory that I've had ever since they first announced Maul Shadow Lord about, why they're making this series. Other than, he's a cool character, but, we've seen everything pretty much we need to about the character, so why this show? And the reason I think they're making this show is that it is going to end up being a prologue for the upcoming Simon Kinberg Star Wars trilogy. And the reason I think that is because, as we all know, every Star Wars trilogy needs a villain. And what better villain than the very one that George Lucas himself had been pitching for his version of 7, 8, and 9. So I think the real purpose of Maul Shadow Lord is to introduce the greater audience to the character of Darth Talon. We'll see her humble beginnings as the apprentice of Maul, and then by the end of the series they'll have parted ways, and then we'll meet her again in the Simon Kinberg trilogy, where, perhaps she's even trying to revive the Sith, and at that point, that's when she'll declare herself a Darth and become Darth Talon. And what brought this to mind was, Simon Kinberg's previous working relationship with Lucasfilm and with Dave Filoni on Rebels. So I could see the two of them working together to come up with this series to set up his upcoming trilogy. And so I think in the coming days, when we learn more about Maul Shadow Lord, if we see Simon Kinberg listed as one of the producers or executive producers, I think that'll be a sign. So anyway, that's my theory. So what do you guys think?
Huh. Well, we did speculate. I think the last time we were together here on RFR, we speculated that perhaps, was it Mia Goth, who had been signed for the Starfighter film, that maybe she's a Darth Talon. Well, before we get into that, something he said at the end I thought was kind of interesting. He said, if we see Simon Kinberg's name in the credits for Darth Maul Shadow Lord, and I started to think, have we ever seen, outside of George Lucas, obviously, and a Dave Filoni, but have we ever seen, we never saw a J.J. Abrams or a Rian Johnson or a Gareth Edwards name in any of the animated projects before. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to connect to that level, to, the creative level, to a guy like Ken. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. I don't see that happening. There's nothing that from the past that makes me think that might happen. I also feel like, because it's an animated series and will likely target a slightly younger audience, that they're not going to necessarily have two red and black tattooed antagonists or anti-heroes or whatever they're going to end up being. I don't see that happening from a design standpoint.
Because from a design standpoint. But they have done that in the past with Savage Opress and Darth Maul. So there is a precedent that's been sort of set for having two horned.
Well, he was orange.
Tattooed warriors. But he was orange.
He was like a Frito. He was
Darth Talon's too red. Yeah. Maybe they'll make her a little orangey. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But But I'm just saying there is a precedence for
sure. You had two Mauls.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Okay, here's where I definitely agree with the caller. I think Darth Talon, one way or the other, because she does have the George Lucas seal of approval, I think she's got a future in Star Wars at some point. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Shadow Lord. Whether it ends up being part of the Simon Kinberg trilogy, possibly, but we know so little about that trilogy. Yeah. We know next to nothing about it.
Well, this is really interesting to see that there is, it seems like there is some life in bringing Darth Talon back. Originally a character created for a comic book called Star Wars Legacy by John Ostrander and Jan Duursma. And I really enjoyed that run. It's a 50-episode arc that you can find on the Marvel Unlimited app.
I read that whole series, right?
You did?
I read the whole series when it came out. Yeah.
God, I never knew you read the whole anything of anything. That's amazing.
I know. I used to let Pete buy them, and then I would read them. I didn't buy them myself, but yeah.
Is that why you fell off of the whole comic book train?
Yeah, I didn't have Pete to buy my stuff anymore.
Jeez, if I knew that, I'd be sending you issues every week. I didn't know that was part of the job description.
I think
supply Swank with Star Wars comics. I didn't know that was part of the job description.
No, hey, we'll pull back the curtain. I mean, Max shared with me his login once, just hoping and praying that I would read. But no, I think it was just the time, in the place. But I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, Kate Skywalker and Darth Talon. I loved it.
Listen, man, you pick one bathroom break a week where you're not just sitting there scrolling through stupid videos or whatever. You sit there and you read a comic book. Nobody interrupts you. You soak it all in. And you'll release a little.
You know what it was? I'll tell you. I think this is really why I liked it so much, because it was set so far away.
Yeah.
Into the future. The thing that falls apart for me oftentimes in Star Wars comic books is when they're using familiar. I can't see past the artwork. Like, it's like, this is supposed to be Han Solo. It looks terrible. Doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford. And I think that I was really able to transport myself, whatever it was it 1,000 years or several hundred years into the future?
It's like 150, I think, 100 or 100, because this guy, Cade Skywalker, who was the protagonist, he was a direct descendant of Luke Skywalker. Like Luke was his great grandfather or something like that.
Yeah, so it was several generations. So I think that's really what probably helped me because I wasn't just sitting there looking for sort of a strict adaptation of a character that I was really, really familiar with. So it was easier for me. So maybe that's the key. That's the secret is to find myself reading a comic, a Star Wars comic that's not tied so closely to the movies or the shows.
What I liked about it was, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe I'm not, but it seemed like the threat to the galaxy was the Sith, and they didn't necessarily have any sort of government or political involvement. It was strictly Sith versus Jedi. Now the Jedi were there were these Imperial Knights. There's an empire. There is an empire, but it's a benevolent empire.
Right.
And that is the government of the galaxy. And then this threat rises up from the Sith. So the Jedi have to face it head on. And the Empire actually has to face it head on. And I find that kind of thing where you remove the Sith from the politics, from the government. I think that is a more effective way of bringing in future antagonists into Star Wars. Keep them separated from the big picture galactic political thing and just make their threat the dark side itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cade, I remember, Cade was he was a bounty hunter, but yet he had this obviously legacy. That was the name of the series. This legacy of being a descendant of Luke Skywalker. He was a junkie. Remember, he was addicted to some
a lot of people think Bix was the first. Hey,
No,
step
not Bix
aside,
wasn't the
Bix. Cade was spacing out long before you on the death sticks. He had a good source for the death sticks, yeah.
Yeah, or the drips or whatever.
Oh, the
it was.
drips.
The drips, I think.
The drips. He was hitting the drip. Isn't that what Bix was hitting, the drip?
She was definitely hitting the drips. I can't remember if Cade was a death stick guy or a drip guy, but
drips, drops,
whatever
death
it was.
It's
But,
all crazy.
Yeah, but he was definitely a reluctant hero for sure. More than an anti-hero, he was a reluctant hero. And then he finally does cross the threshold and become a true hero. And but he's a very human character. I remember really rooting for him. Thought he was interesting. Not that monkish Jedi. He really lived on the edge. And I might have to go. I wonder if there's, what do they call that when they put them all in one volume or two volumes?
You're looking for a trade paperback, my friend.
Yes, something like that. I'd like to go back and reread those. Oh, you said they're on the app, right?
Oh, yeah. Just dive into the Marvel Unlimited app. And what I like about that is that you can go full screen each panel. And I like that because I like picking apart the art, too. So,
yeah.
But
all right,
Darth
so how do we
that's
get off
really
on
interesting.
legacy? Oh, Darth Talon.
Remember, the whole idea is like Simon Kinberg's involvement in this and his history with Star Wars animation. He is someone who does cross the streams, much like Dave Filoni himself.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he might, as a guy who's aware of the different tools in the toolbox, he might be approaching Lucasfilm with this idea that incorporates video games, comic books, you name it, maybe even merch. Who knows? I mean, he might have this fully fleshed out idea. Now, I don't want to be too romantic about Simon Kinberg's new involvement with Lucasfilm, but it seems like he got put out to pasture in the wake of the Josh Trank debacle. Josh Trank was hired by Lucasfilm. I think Simon Kinberg did a lot to grease those skids to bring Josh in to direct a Boba Fett film. That never happened because Josh Trank went totally off the rails during the production of the Fantastic Four movie he was helming and really just destroyed his future and his reputation in Hollywood. I've heard some behind-the-scenes stories that I don't even want to share with you guys because they're really nasty and gross.
Yeah, they are.
And also, I don't want to say things out of school either. I don't want to implicate Josh in ways that I can't personally confirm, but the stories are not pretty. I'll just put it that way. And they're kind of comical too in certain ways if you have a very dark sense of humor. And I think Josh was in a very dark place when he was working on that film, and his next film, the next film on his lineup was the Boba Fett film, and everyone in Hollywood saw he flaked during the production of Fantastic Four, so he got pulled off of the Boba Fett film. The Boba Fett film totally got scrapped, and Simon Kinberg also got shown the door at Lucasfilm. So I think while Simon was sitting around going, what just hit me? What happened? He went through all of those phases, you know, where it's like denial.
The 7 stages.
The 7 stages. He goes through all those stages, and he comes to acceptance and realizes that he's got some mojo still left, some fuel in his Star Wars tank, and he's suddenly found he's developed this idea for not just one film, but for a whole frickin' trilogy that's going to push Star Wars into the future. And then he might be thinking, well, you know, I also did work on the animation side. I know how that works. And wouldn't it be cool if I had an animated series that was sort of a counterpart to my trilogy, and we could get that out there? And then, you know, the wheels start churning, you know, and it's like, thank God someone's coming to Lucasfilm with a solid plan. Again, I am being romantic about this. I have no idea that this kind of thing is actually happening behind the scenes. But thanks to our caller here, you know, I get that my creative juices start flowing, and I start thinking about how did Simon Kinberg get accepted back into the Lucasfilm fold to work on Star Wars. It's not like he created some massive hit in the meantime either, you know. He did the Dark Phoenix film, which a lot of Marvel fans really disliked. But his future with Star Wars seems to be a positive thing, and he must be approaching it with a solid plan. I hope he is. And maybe Paul V., our caller, is onto something.
Yeah, he may be. Well, a plan of any kind would be refreshing. That's for sure.
A plan? Plan? You say?
Yeah, but you know, I'm looking forward. I'm hoping that some of the ideas that were gathered all those years ago for Star Wars Underworld might resurface. I know it's the animated series, and that was going to be, according to Rick McCallum, a very grown up, very adult type of Star Wars. But at the kernel, we're talking about the Underworld. We're going to see the building of Crimson Dawn. We're going to see the other, a lot of the other underground families and gangs and things like that. We're going to see who was the Black Sun. We're going to see those guys, I'm sure.
Black Sun.
We could see some Hutts. You know, you got if you're going to be in the Underworld, you got to deal with the Hutts. And there could also be cameos from some of the Clone Wars era characters. Could bleed into Rebels. I think the future is really bright for this show, but I do like the idea that it's going to push new ground, new territory, and not just be a vehicle for cameos and here comes Asajj Ventress again, the umpteenth time and things like that.
You want a solid story.
Absolutely.
That's what we all want.
Yeah.
We don't want gimmicks. We don't want things to scratch an itch or something. We want a fully fleshed out story that we can become fully committed to, and something that can fully envelop us and make us focus as an audience. You know, something we can really break down week to week on the after shows with our listeners and our callers and get to the bottom of real Star Wars mythology. I think Dave Filoni might have a few tricks up his sleeve when it comes to this particular character. He and George Lucas developed the character for animation to death. And
Dave's part of the team on this show.
Oh, of course.
Is he not? Yeah. He's
He as an executive
producer, but I could see him. Well, of course, in his role right now as being really the chief creative officer there. That none of these things are going to show up and get produced, get greenlit without him obviously being in favor of it, endorsing it, and probably, lifting his leg on it a little bit. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? I mean...
Well, don't they have a saying at Lucas Animation. CBB could be better. I recall hearing that a few times during Star Wars Celebration Japan. CBB could be better. And I think Sam Witwer also has a producer's role on this show.
Yeah, he does.
And so he's definitely a really valuable source when it comes to Star Wars storytelling. I'm surprised it's taken him that long to bring Sam in as like an official creative.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be the show will really benefit from that, and because nobody's going to ever question Sam Witwer's knowledge of Star Wars and his ability to articulate his thoughts about Star Wars as well, which I think will be very valuable in the writer's room for whoever's working on the show. Yeah. I think it's Matt Micknovitz, who is got a huge history with Star Wars animation. I believe he might be the head guy writing on this show. So there's definitely a lot of Clone Wars / Bad Batch kind of backbone to this show. So
I thought Matt did an incredible job guiding the story of Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, loved every minute
for all 3
of it,
seasons. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm. He did a great
Athena
job.
Portillo is also on that creative team for Maul.
Athena's been around Lucasfilm for a really long time.
Well, thanks for the voicemail, Paul. That was very, very thought-provoking. Hey, speaking of Star Wars animation, I mentioned this, Jim, at the top of the show, but how great was it when we got word that Ashley Eckstein had made an appearance on another podcast, the Pod of Rebellion show, and it turned out that she gave credit where credit was due. Rebel Force Radio is the one that introduced her to this idea of the Ahsoka Lives hashtag. We don't need to describe it. I think Ashley does it in the clip coming up. But boy, that was really good to hear and good to see.
Yeah, how about that? Nobody was expecting this to happen. But Ashley Eckstein appeared on this show that features Vanessa Marshall and Taylor Gray and Tia Serkar, where they provide recollections for their time working on Star Wars Rebels. I remember where there was a time when Lucasfilm was kind of adamant about their talent going on, making their own recaps. No, it wasn't that. It was the commentary tracks. That's what they didn't like. Was they and you still don't see it from any Star Wars actors.
There was the video series that Jat had there for a while, which was going back and talking about previous episodes and interviewing others. Yeah. And I don't think there was a lot of love for that at that time. But then Office Ladies come out, and then Katie barred the door and all. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They really did sort of break that down. They were the first that I recall of two stars of a TV series or of anything sitting down and doing a rewatch podcast deep dive. I think
they might have been the first, and then
I think
the Sopranos thing with Michael Imperioli and Steven Shrippa is also in a very similar vein. Yep. We've seen Jeff Garlin and Susie Essman do a similar show for Curb Your Enthusiasm, and the list goes on and on. I think some West Wing guys have a podcast.
Yeah. I think Jat was ahead of his time with that. He may have. Show.
Yeah, I'm and guess who inspired him? It was his appearances here on Rebel Force Radio, as a matter of fact. I walked Jat through the entire process of creating his own podcast and introduced him to all the right people to make sure it got done. So, yeah, I'll take that victory lap as well right now. But we got a bigger one coming up here.
All right.
This is Ashley Eckstein, and she's appearing on the Pod of Rebellion show. Like I said, it features stars from Star Wars Rebels, and one of them is RFR buddy Taylor Gray, who asked Ashley, you'll hear his question here at the very beginning of this clip we're going to play, but it's who started the Ahsoka Lives hashtag. I think Taylor Gray is under the impression that it was Dave Filoni, because I think Dave had some T-shirt printed up like a couple of years after we started the whole thing. But Ashley appears on Pod of the Rebellion, and she sets the record straight.
Was it after this episode aired that Dave did the Ahsoka Lives shirt?
Okay, I gotta set the record straight here, because Dave did not start Ahsoka Lives. I'm taking full credit for this because I actually got myself in trouble by starting this. So I did an interview with Jimmy Mack and Jason from Rebel Force Radio, and they were telling me about the whole Darth Vader Lives movement, where, the fans started something and it said Darth Vader Lives. And this is when we didn't know, did Ahsoka live? Did she not? And so if we find out that Ahsoka lives, we could start our own campaign. So I kind of held on to that. And then the second that Ahsoka walked down that ladder in the season finale, I went to Twitter and I did hashtag Ahsoka Lives. Well, how I got myself in trouble was with the internets, because half the world had not seen the season finale yet. So I totally spoiled it, and everyone was so angry with me. So it was like I divided the internet. Half the people, they were so excited because they had seen it and they were celebrating with me. And the other half, they were so angry with me that I just spoiled it. But we hold on to these secrets for so long. And the second that she walked on that ladder, I couldn't hold the secret any longer. So there it was. I released it on Twitter, Ahsoka Lives. And eventually people got over it. They were just excited that Ahsoka lives. But that's where the hashtag started. And then it, continued from there.
How do you get mad at Ashley Eckstein? Who's mad at Ashley? But I get it. I mean, it's hard, I think, now in today's day and age where everything is so global, thinking about this global audience. And so it aired. Ashley got excited. She put the hashtag out there. I totally understand. But Jim, I have to laugh because whenever you hear a Star Wars celebrity talking about getting in trouble, 9 times out of 10, it has its origins with Rebel Force Radio.
So you got in trouble.
Sansweet to Dave Filoni to Ashley Eckstein. I think we've gotten them all in trouble.
Matthew Wood.
Matt
James got in
Arnold
big
Taylor.
trouble talking. James. Oh my God. I was getting phone calls at like 6 a.m. on a Saturday after James Arnold Taylor appeared on the show and mentioned he spotted Ming-Na Wen on the set of Mandalorian Season 2, and the internet exploded. And then the next morning, Lucasfilm is begging us to edit that out of the show. I'm like, guys, the toothpaste is already out of the tube. What do you want from me? Please.
See what I did.
I did, and I was pissed off about it. Yeah. But I did remove the segment because out of respect to James Arnold Taylor.
Right.
Not to Lucasfilm. But to James, and Lucasfilm has asked us to edit a lot of things over the years. I mean, my God. And quite honestly, us putting up a fight is maybe something that has drawn a little bit of a wedge into that relationship. And I'm not talking about Wedge Antilles. But you got to be asking yourself, Jason, do you remember having that conversation with Ashley Eckstein? This was right after. So let me put things into perspective. We're going back to 2013. Ashley is referencing a conversation we had with her back in 2013 following the season 5 finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, when Ahsoka essentially resigns from the Jedi Order, and the last shot is her walking down the steps, leaving the temple. And there was a lot of speculation. What happens next, And we had to wait 2 full years just to see Ahsoka return in Star Wars Rebels. But we had to wait even longer to get to the final season 7 of the Clone Wars that was produced well after the show was canceled, to response to things like the Ahsoka Lives hashtag, the popularity of Ashley Eckstein, and the just incredible eruption of Ahsoka fandom, which I always saw was there, but it really took off after Clone Wars hit Netflix and people really started to get to know Ashley Eckstein. And it just became like this really thin line between Ahsoka and Ashley. And it was almost like the character became real in a way.
Well,
and
I really believe that Lucasfilm should absolutely kiss the feet of Ashley Eckstein, because she is the reason that character got over with the fans. Because you're absolutely right. The conventions, her universe, all of it. She is Ahsoka. She's the spirit of Ahsoka Tano. I know Rosario is, taking the mantle and all of that. But I mean, as far as, because that character had every reason to fail and had everything going against it.
Is that not the truth?
Yeah, she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and not going away.
No. And, we just love her for that. We love her for tenacity. We love her for her authenticity, her integrity, everything about her. We love Ahsoka too. And we were on board with that character from day one. And Ashley knows that. And like you said, Jason, it was her first ever Star Wars interview, happened here on Rebel Force Radio or on the old podcast. But it's all part of our history. It's all part of Rebel Force Radio history.
It was with us. It was with us.
You got to be asking yourself, what was that conversation? Well, I dug into the archives and I found the actual conversation we had with her back in 2013 following the season finale of the Clone Wars Season 5. And
12 years ago, dude. 12 years ago.
I mean, really, to me, it feels like a month or two ago, but, it's just the crazy life of podcasting. Time flies when you're having fun, and we have a lot of fun here at RFR, and we always have a great time talking to Ashley. So let's hear that clip from 12 years ago.
At first, I was so sad. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, Dave, no. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe she leaves the Jedi Order. And then he was like, well, wait a minute. If she's not in the Jedi Order, then there's a chance she survives Order 66. So
Oh, okay.
I'm happy about that.
So a little trade.
Yeah. So then I was like, oh, okay. This is great. That's really cool. I'm excited.
Because you're looking at all these other ones that, they might live on in the series, but they die. And they die pretty grim deaths, shot in the back, all kinds of exciting things there in Order 66. So where is Ahsoka? We don't know. It leaves it open.
This takes me back to 1977 when the original Star Wars came out. And believe it or not, there were a lot of people who walked out of that movie theater thinking to themselves that Darth Vader died in that explosion. And my dad was one of those people. I said, no, Dad, don't you remember his ship was spinning around in space and he flew off? And my dad, oh, no, he blew up in the explosion. So there was a very popular button that people would wear, and it said, Darth Vader lives. And I'll always remember they misspelled Vader, V-A-D-A-R. Darth Vader lives. And
I've seen that.
These are very popular pins, especially back in the 70s. They were everywhere. So I'm thinking maybe someone should make an Ahsoka Tano Lives pin that we could all walk around, proudly wear. And
oh, I love it. I think we have a new shirt for her universe.
There you go.
Tano Lives.
Star Wars is forever, and so is Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, I love it.
So that's it.
She loved it.
That's it. And so it wasn't Dave Filoni. Now, Dave Filoni, we just had an image up on the screen. He showed up at a convention. At first, he had an Ahsoka Tano, as Ahsoka Lives with a question mark. That was the first T-shirt. And then fast forward when it was confirmed that she was still around, in the galaxy far, far away, it turned that question mark turned into an exclamation point. Ahsoka lives! Exclamation. But yeah, no, that was not Dave Filoni. That was absolutely Ashley Eckstein after Mac told her about or reminded her about the Darth Vader Lives button. So did you have one of those buttons, Jim? I know Billy Mac bought one at a convention. I remember being with him when he... Oh, there it is. Look, Mac's got the button. There
I have it right here, Pally.
Does he have one?
Darth
There it
Vader
is.
lives. He lives, baby. Oh, man, this takes you back to the disco 70s, does it not? Darth Vader lives. Oh.
But that was really kind of Ashley to set that record straight and give it. She could have told the story and not talked about RFR, but or us, and but she didn't. She did that. And that was awesome. She's the best.
Yes, but you have to understand, it's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah. What did Obi-Wan say to Boss Nass? That's kind of like what I think about our relationship between
Ashley,
the Gungans and the Naboo is like us and Ashley Eckstein. Quite honestly,
Two form a symbiotic relationship. What happens to one will affect the other.
Nice, Swank. Damn, you're good. But I'll tell you, we have that kind of relationship with just about the entire Clone Wars cast, and it's just like they're like family to us, I think.
Yeah.
You know, a lot.
We shared holidays with them.
We shared holidays. I've gone to ball games with Ashley to watch her husband play. I bring my whole family along. Phone conversations and just regular check-ins. And I saw Ashley at a convention. It was probably the last time I saw her. It was a couple years ago. And it had been a while since I'd seen her. And I was like feeling nervous about approaching her. So I stood way back at the end of this autograph line. And she was sitting there with Matt Lanter, and they saw me, and they're like, "Hey!" And I walked over then, and the security let me approach them. You know how it is at these convention centers now. That's another thing that I've had to grow accustomed to is you know, in a big city like Chicago, when the convention comes to town, they keep the celebrities as far away from the general population as possible. I noticed when I went with you to Cleveland a number of years ago to a Wizard World convention out there.
That's right.
It didn't seem like that. It was like that kind of extreme. It felt like the old days where we could still just approach these celebrities at their tables and talk to them. But at a show like Fan Expo Chicago and stuff, they really keep a kind of tight control. Here I'm saying this when it was just a couple summers ago, Todd Stashwick had us hanging out at his table. We're drinking beer and carrying on, and you know, I'm messing around with Machete and Leah Thompson and all of these celebs, and nobody seemed to care that we were there.
You know,
I got Tyler and Billy Mack and my boys with me. It was just mayhem, you know. And Stashwick loved it. I just think Stashwick enjoyed having a couple additional Chicago dipshits at his table with him. That's right. Because, of course, Todd Stashwick, famously known as the captain on Picard. He's
the season 3.
I don't remember his name. His captain. What was his name on that show? I don't remember. To me, it's Captain Stashwick, and he was having a few drinks with Picard, and experiencing like a little bit of PTSD from
Captain
the famous
Shaw.
Borg attack. Captain Shaw, that's right.
Yeah.
The famous Borg attack, back to Jaws, you know, Robert Shaw, Captain Shaw. So the famous Borg attack, and there's like Wolf 357 or something, where there's this massive, like this Federation of Planets massacre that happened.
It was when Picard was Locutus.
Yes,
after the Borg had altered him.
And it was this great shot, and I fell in love with Todd Stashwick for life when I saw this moment. He's having a drink with Picard, Patrick Stewart, in 10 Forward or wherever the hell they were, and they're recollecting this event from the Borg War. And all of a sudden, you know, Shaw he's remembering how he was thrust into service, as the captain of his ship because everyone else was killed. And he was like a mechanic or something. And he's just like having a drink. He's like, here I am, a dipshit from Chicago, captain of a Federation ship during war. And he's like, having all these flashbacks to it. And I was just like, oh, what? Dipshits from Chicago exist in the future? I thought we'd all be wiped out like in 50 years from now. We'd all be wiped out, but Star Trek is giving me hope, as it has given so many people hope. Dipshits from Chicago exist in the future.
In the
Hells
2300s or whatever it is, the 2400s. Yeah.
And then I learned some things in rapid fire succession after that. Todd Stashwick is from the Chicago area. He's a Chicagoan. And Todd Stashwick is an RFR listener. It's like this rapid fire series of events where I felt it's like I've never felt so connected to a science fiction character in my life, or a Star Trek character at the very least. This guy is my spirit animal in the Federation.
Well, the reason, Jim, what I remember, the reason that you refer to him as Captain Stashwick is because that's what the writer, showrunner Terry Matalas called him, because that role was essentially written with Todd in mind. So I think in like the early drafts of the script, it was written in as Captain Stashwick because that's how badly he wanted Todd. And Todd is phenomenal in that. Picard season 3, unbelievable, fantastic Star Trek.
Some of the best Next Generation ever.
Yeah,
is that series? Is that season?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, so I know we just got off of our summer vacation. And Jim, I know that you swore that you were actually going to take some time off and relax, but that doesn't mean that there's not new things on Patreon.
No, Patreon is an obsession of mine. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. To me, it's my top priority when it comes to Rebel Force Radio and the internet beyond this podcast. This podcast is my highest priority, but Patreon is where our people really are, man. And a lot of people ask me questions about Patreon because it's kind of confusing even to some people. It's actually very easy to use and kind of customizable too, because you can choose the tiers you want to join. And according to the tiers that you are associated with, that permits your access to content. So we have it all figured out in a great way. We have an early bird tier, which will get you the RFR episodes before anyone else gets them, typically. This week might be an exception, but typically you'll get them early and you'll get them ad-free. And then the higher up the tiers you go, the more content you get. RFR Q&A, bonus podcast. The Babu Freaks, bonus podcast. RFR RPG, bonus podcast. And then you get constant updates about what Rebel Force Radio is doing, where we're going, who we're talking to. It's all there at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. And what's really great about it is that when you sign up, you get your own personal RSS code that you can easily copy and drop into the podcast catcher of your choice. You like iTunes, Spotify, whatever you use to get your podcast, normally you can copy this code into your podcast catcher. So you don't always have to go to the Patreon website to get your exclusive podcast. You can get them just like you get this show on your podcast catcher. It's really super easy to use. And we have this great Star Wars fandom community there. And it's a really supportive community, too. That's the one thing I like. And I also like shining the spotlight on our RFR VIPs. This week, we do it with a show called RFR Q&A, where members of the VIP tier have the opportunity to sign up and co-host a podcast with me talking about what you want to talk about. So this week we released 2 episodes of RFR Q&A. One of them is RFR Q&A 253, Star Wars water cooler talk with Dr. Dominique, and he is a VIP, and he's been on the Q&A a few times, and my conversations with him are always spectacular. He's a really great guy, and he is a doctor, like I said, so he talks about some of like the real world injuries Star Wars characters get in Andor, in shows like Andor, and he kind of breaks it all down because it's kind of strange to see like Luthen going through heart failure because of a self-imposed wound, stab wound, and you think in Star Wars, all they have to do is like slap some back on that and he'll be just fine. It's like it's inconceivable for Star Wars characters to have like the same ailments we have in the real world, but it happens, and Dr. Dom kind of breaks all that down. And we also talk about things like, does Star Wars still have that power at the water cooler to generate next day conversations? And does any pop culture element still have that kind of power, that mojo at the water cooler? So we talk about that. And also, he's been on a lot of international travel, so he shows off some of the Star Wars finds he's acquired memorabilia-wise, and some of them are really crazy out there too, man. So I love that. And also this week we dropped RFR Q&A number 252. That's with RFR VIP Marty from Georgia, who's a really good guy, and we talk a little bit about leaning into some of the philosophies of Star Wars to help you out when you go through some bumpy patches in life, and the sort of support you can find from pieces of dialogue in Star Wars or elements of Star Wars that give you comfort. We go into detail about that. And Marty from Georgia, he's a great guy, and he has been going through some rough patches in life. And I know he's a warrior, and he's going to get through it just fine. But when it happens, he does lean on Star Wars a little bit, and specifically the phrase from Qui-Gon Jinn, your focus determines your reality. You guys all know that's a favorite of ours here at RFR, and there's a certain amount of power that statement can lend you when you are going through rough times. If you really start to dwell on that statement itself, your focus oh yeah, sure, your focus determines your reality. Anakin. Okay, calm down. But it's a great show. It's a great show. RFR Q&A. We got them coming at you once or twice a week, along with a bunch of other cool things. Bonus podcasts, ad-free shows, full show video, and more. It's all happening at Rebel Force Radio on Patreon, patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
All right, let's take a brief time out and thank our good friends over at Factor. They've been with us a long time, and we love Factor.
Yeah. We love Factor for so many reasons. Our appetite has a lot to do with it. And here we are. We're finding ourselves in the middle of summer. It's here, baby. More sun, more daylight, more time to do all the things that make your summer so special. Listening to Rebel Force Radio, I'm sure, is on that list. But the number one thing you don't want to be doing this summer, you don't want to be hovering over a hot stove in your kitchen, cooking inside. You don't want to be wasting time doing that. That's where Factor comes in. Factor's chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. You're eating really well with Factor. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for your lifestyle or any active lifestyle over summer and beyond. 45 weekly menu options, gourmet meals that fit your summer goals. Choose from options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. All you have to do is pop it in the microwave. 2 minutes later, you're eating an incredible gourmet meal. No fuss, no muss, and you're feeling quite satisfied after you eat the meals. I'm really, honestly, a huge fan of what Factor provides, and they give us meals that maybe I wouldn't typically order on my own, but that's I find myself loving, just loving. So that's Factor.
Just try it. And I tell you what, kids like it. I've got a couple. I've got one preteen and I've got one teenager, and it's summertime. The wife and I are both at the day jobs all day long. So the kids are home by themselves, and it's such a relief to know that there is a refrigerator full of factory meals. So when they get hungry for lunch, all they got to do is just pull one out, 2 minutes in the microwave, and boom, they're eating something good and healthy for them. So that is a huge, huge plus. So please, so we want you to get started right away. Go to factormeals.com/RFR50 off and use code RFR 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code RFR 50 off at factormeals.com/RFR 50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Factormeals.com/RFR 50 off.
Hey, this is Dave Filoni of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you are listening to Rebel Force Radio with Jason and Jimmy.
One of the greatest things about Ashley, she embodies it. On screen, off screen, when you meet her, have you ever met her and found her in a bad mood? Never.
Never.
She always has a smile for everybody. Yeah. She is tough, and I'll say it again, of all decisions I made, she was the best. So proud of her. So proud.
Hey there, this is Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Rebel Force Radio.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news. Come closer, I have good news.
All right, we got some news here for you. As we were talking about at the top of the show, we've got a lot of waiting to do, but this is also when things start getting exciting because the rumors and the stories and the news and the leaks and all that start to emerge. And man, oh man, Ahsoka Season 2, there's so much promise. It disappointed on Season 1, disappointed on some levels story-wise, but knowing that there's a Season 2, there's hope, there's a chance. And so I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know Dave Filoni is a great storyteller, so let's hope that the mojo gets back with Season 2. And we've got a scoop here for you with some really cool concept art, a number of them. And we want to go through them because this came from what we consider a valued and trusted source.
Truly. I mean, it just kind of came out of nowhere. We're just sitting around minding our own business, going about our day. I'm reading the Legacy of Vader comic from Marvel Comics. It's so awesome. It's really great. And they're only about 6 issues into that. And I'm sitting there looking at that book, and all of a sudden, oh my God, Ahsoka concept art in our email inbox. Where is this coming from? Well, it, like Jason said, a very valued and trusted source to RFR. But I'm like, where did all of this concept art come from? So I started to scour the web. I can't find it anywhere. So I don't think this is out there. This is stuff that's been provided to us. I think it's 100% legitimate and definitely worth checking out. So our full show video audience, the RFR All Access audience on Patreon, they're going to be seeing all of these images. But keep an eye on our YouTube channel over the next few days because we might release this entire segment to you guys because it's very visual, but we will try to describe everything in great detail as we are famously known for here on Rebel Force Radio.
All right, let's hit it. Here's the very first image that we're looking at here. And this looks to me to be a female character, a bald-headed female character. And she is wearing some sort of mask that covers her nose and her mouth. And there are like 2 tusks coming out. And also a lot of red leather. But definitely I'm definitely getting female character vibes here, and there's some marks in the right above the eyebrows, and I keep thinking that this has got to be some sort of witch or night sister warrior or something. Yeah. Knowing where the story is going in Ahsoka Season 2, which is the resurrection of all of these night sister witches.
Yeah, I smart money would be this is a night sister. Who though?
Right.
I don't know. And also there's another side of this coin though that I've been considering is just simply by the look of the 2 marks on the forehead. They look very similar to the 2 marks that are on the forehead of the Grand Inquisitor in Rebels and in Kenobi. It looks very similar. Does it not look very similar?
It does.
So this might be some like sort of Inquisitor kind of tattoo she has. Or it could just be a simple Night Sister thing. But yeah, I would probably say Night Sister. We do know Inquisitors exist in the Ahsoka time frame, though, because we saw that Merrick guy in season 1, and he turned into a puff of green smoke, which may indicate that he was some sort of Night Sister manifestation of evil. But that's the one thing I noticed, that design aesthetic that really makes me think of the Grand Inquisitor. Those two, just these two lines on the forehead. It looks like tattoos or some kind of marking. So. And that mask looks kind of familiar, too. Like it's something I've seen in the past in Star Wars concept art, maybe for episode 1 when they were trying to find a solid design.
It does
for
have
the Sith Lord. There's something familiar about it, you know?
There is. Absolutely there is. There doesn't seem to be any kind of mechanics with it, so it looks more like it's there. It's not there to serve any kind of, it's not a breath mask or a breathing apparatus that I can tell. It looks more like it's there as intimidation or
like a war mask.
A war mask, yeah.
Or a COVID mask. Who does COVID exist?
But is there any clue in the environment? The environment we see behind, we see a blazing sun. And who knows what this could indicate. I don't think this is Paradia. Paradia is a very gloomy and sort of overcast place. So this, I feel like, might be in the proper galaxy. Plus, we know the night or the witches are all being resurrected in the Alpha Galaxy or whatever we want to call it.
Dathomir. Yeah, if I was just, I even consider the background. I mean, it could just be some generic thing for the concept art. But, I mean, I get Tatooine vibes naturally with the big sun behind her.
Right.
It's only one sun, I want to say, but it just sort of has that sort of desert bleakness, hot. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
It could be a nothing background.
Too hot for all that red leather, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, wow.
All right.
Now there's 2 of them.
Okay, so here we see clearly Night Sister witches, and it looks to me like New Republic officers, troopers, New Republic troopers. They've got the blue, they've got the helmets. So this is some kind of an attack, it looks to me, on a New Republic vessel of some sort by these night witches. Yeah,
I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing. It appears to be some battle happening in a starship corridor. One of the Night Sisters, it appears there be 3 Night Sisters doing martial arts moves. They all have blades or some sort of weapons for battle.
Staffs maybe, or
I see a staff.
Bow and arrow or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of Japanese lettering, too, on this particular screen grab. So, obviously, this stuff was leaked out of one of the animation studios in Asia that are working on this particular series. So, animation or concept art or whatever it is.
You can see some sort of blast ripping through this one trooper here on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So that might indicate some sort of bow, staff, kind of, or not... Yeah, something with some sort of
projectile. Like it appears like she might have a sort of bow and arrow that we see in this frame here of the New Republic officer taking a blaster bolt right through his midsection. It appears, it could be a staff or maybe it's some sort of bow or something, but it's a.
Didn't Omega have like a bow and arrow, and it was like some sort of electro arrow that went vibro arrow or something. Okay. All right. Oh, here's Enoch. This could be maybe part of the same battle. It looks like Enoch is taking out one of the New Republic soldiers here with some sort of, again, looks like a staff. he's got.
Or maybe even a lightsaber, just judging by the reflection, the green reflection I see.
Yeah, I see that. But then look behind him. So it's a really long staff that he's got.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it sure is. Yeah. Yeah. Now I see the staff. You're right. So maybe it has.
But there is a green glow.
A green glow.
Which is the Night Sister magic energy. It's sort of the visual reference is a green glow.
We can only see part of the staff, so we don't know. We can't see the contact point that between Enoch's staff and this New Republic soldier. But it looks bad for the New Republic soldier either way.
Doesn't look good.
No, he's not seeing tomorrow.
Now, this is really clear. I'm seeing Hera Syndulla, Chopper, and what I assume is Jason Syndulla here.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming as well. It looks like they're hiding somewhere in they're in a cave or in some sort of jungle environment, hiding out somewhere.
See these vines behind them, almost like swampy.
And maybe Chopper is damaged. Hera looks focused on what's happening just outside of the frame.
Yeah.
She's looking elsewhere. Jason looks like he might be wounded.
Maybe.
Look how he's holding his leg and stuff.
Yeah.
He might be wounded. Hard to tell. The definition of these photos also is not exactly high def.
No, not at all. Yeah, we're dealing with low res.
We're just trying to decipher what we're seeing here. Again, I have no idea where these images have come from or anything. All I know is who sent it to us, and you guys aren't going to find out who that is. Here's Chopper.
Chopper, yeah.
It looks like he's got a blaster rifle.
Oh, my God, you're right. He does.
Yeah, and those little arms that he has in front. You know, he has those two arms on the side of his head.
Yeah.
But he has those R2-D2 little extensions, arm extensions, whatever you want to call them, right in front. The part where I always refer to as like R2-D2's mouth, where Leia in A New Hope, Leia put the plans to the Death Star in that top slot, but he's got those two little arms right underneath that. And it looks like Chopper is using those arms to hold a big piece of firearms.
It's a big rifle. I mean, there's a scope on it and everything.
Yeah, he's got some hot heat in his hands right there, and he's not afraid to use it. So we might be seeing Chopper action sequences that have been like completely, that seem like completely out of the reach of reality coming true. And you know what? I welcome that. I want to see them take Chopper and elevate the character, the droid character, into something other than this, like, just, you know, sassy
comic relief
rogue kind of. Yeah, it's just like, give him some real warrior functions and put a blaster in his quote.
Yeah, you know, because R2 had attitude. There's no question. R2 was sassy. He had attitude. Right, but R2 always saved the day. Like, I mean, R2 earned the attitude because R2 always knew what the heck was going on and how to get people out of the jam. So
yeah, but I'll tell you this. Chopper lives under that shadow of R2-D2. He always will. Okay? But what can elevate Chopper? Well, put a blaster in his control. We've never seen R2 necessarily have a blaster in his, quote, hands. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing. So naturally, if you're going to put a blaster in the control of Chopper, the next step is to give R2-D2 a flippin' lightsaber. And I expect to see that in a future story. That's what I want to see. R2 with a lightsaber. I mean, we're just cracking the door open a little bit with Chopper and a blaster. I want R2 and a saber in a future story.
And not just shooting it out of his dome. We want to see him wielding that lightsaber.
Oh, yeah, right. We want to see him doing some wicked moves.
Okay, so we have this cloudy, foggy. This looks like Paradia to me. But I can't make out who this. It looks like a battalion, maybe, of
troopers.
Troopers, yeah. There's one in the lead. They all have sort of backpacks on, weapons drawn.
to the left, what is the object that some of them seem to be concentrating on? It's hard to tell.
Are these creatures or is this just environment?
Creature. It looks like a very swampy environment, and that could be some sort of creature because the three of them on the left are angling toward that thing.
Right.
It looks like it's caught their attention, while the other three, we see 6 figures in this shot. The other three are going to the right into the fog, while half of them are facing this whatever it is emerging out of the fog. They could be New Republic troopers, maybe searching for Ahsoka and Sabine, or they could be stormtroopers of the Enoch variety, of the zombie trooper variety that comes with Grand Admiral Thrawn. You know what this looks like to me? It doesn't look like parody at all. This looks like Dathomir to me. That's what that looks like.
Oh,
it looks
okay,
like
yes.
Dathomir.
Yes.
Which is a planet we visited, in previously in Clone Wars and everything. But if you flash back to those initial Savage Opress, Night Sister, Mother Talzin episodes, this looks like very similar to the Dathomir environment. Very foggy, shrouded in fog, kind of a pinkish kind of thing. And then you see like weird natural growths in the environment with like kind of spiky protrusions coming from.
Yeah.
All of this feels very Dathomir.
You're right. It is Dathomir. Yeah. Yeah. And didn't we just see Dathomir in not Tales of the Underworld, but the previous Tales
of the Dark Side.
Yes. Right.
Yeah,
and we saw a lot of Dathomir, and it did have that pinkish hue that George Costanza likes so much.
Wait. I've seen every Seinfeld episode 5,000 times. What? Tell me the George Costanza connection to the
They're trying to
hue.
hook George up with a friend of Jerry and Elaine's. And he says, Jerry, of course, first says that she's got a great personality. And George is like, whoa. Great personality. That only means one thing. So he goes through this litany of questions, and he finally, he's asking about her complexion. Good complexion? Is there a pinkish hue? And Jerry's like, there's a hue. There's a hue.
That is a deep cut.
Yes.
That is a deep cut. I couldn't let you just make that deep cut without some explanation. So
is there a
thank you for that.
pinkish hue? So as soon as you said
I
there's
do
a pinkish
recall the
hue,
episode. I do recall the episode. It was not Marissa Tomei, by the way.
No, it was not. No, there's a hue. Okay, now this one has really got me going. All right, this image has really got me buzzing.
Yeah,
because I got to start with the character. There's a figure on the top that has what looks to be wings, and the first thought I had was, "This is the sun. This is Mortis. This is the sun." But as you get closer of inspection, it's definitely metal. This looks droid-like. So unless the sun is sporting some sort of Iron Man costume, I don't think this is the sun. But man, if those wings, I've never seen a droid with feathery-looking wings before.
Yeah, an odd photo. Oh, can you go back a little? Can you pull out a little more? Because we see lava flowing. On a volcano or some sort. So that's in the background. So naturally, if you see lava in Star Wars, you're thinking Mustafar.
Right.
But I'm thinking this is more of a Mortis kind of situation here, where we're seeing, like you said, Jason, a very Iron Man kind of individual, but with incredibly huge wings instead of arms. This is a really trippy sort of thing. That's Sabine opening fire.
Oh, yes, it is.
Hair.
You see the hair, the purple hair.
You see the hair, yeah. So Sabine is going to be facing off against some weird metallic winged creature as lava is flowing around her. This sounds like mayhem. But again, I want to see a more exotic. I want to see a more threatening environment for Peridea. I was really disappointed at the just completely nondescript environment they were in once they finally reached this place. There was really very little in the actual environment itself that made me feel like I was in another galaxy other than the Star Wars universe. And I think that really, really needs to be there in season 2. I thought Paradia was a boring environment, quite honestly.
It really was boring. Very dull, bland,
it offered nothing.
rocky.
It offered nothing. And, I mean, there were little elements we saw that were kind of interesting. Didn't somebody look into the water
turtles?
and see something? And the little, well, they were more like hermit crabs.
Right.
Because remember, they can't be turtles. They have shells, but they have their eyes are on spikes or
Stalks,
whatever you want to call stalks. Sorry. And but I mean, there was really nothing about the environment that drew me in. And we need more exotic things happening if we're going outside the galaxy. Instead, they went to a place that was more boring than the Star Wars universe. And that's a huge fault of the Ahsoka show. One of many huge faults, which I certainly hope gets redeemed in season 2, because along with the huge faults in Ahsoka season 1, there are also huge triumphs as well. I think I'm not some one-trick pony where I'm just, but I still to this day I don't think there's a Star Wars project that's been released that has offered me with more wide open gaping holes in the storytelling and more overall just disappointment than the Ahsoka series, because it has everything going for it. And of course, that episode with the world between worlds and Anakin and all that. I mean, that's exceptional Star Wars, no matter how you want to break it down. So you could look at that episode and judge the entire Ahsoka series on that one episode, and it would elevate it maybe to the top of your list. But when you really look closely at the way the story is rolled out in Ahsoka season 1 and what's happening and all of this, there's weirdness going on there. Sabine taking a lightsaber right through the gut. And, I mean, this insistence on them diminishing the integrity of the lightsaber as a weapon is something I don't think I can ever forgive the Ahsoka series nor the Kenobi series for doing. Huge violations of what makes Star Wars. And a guy like Dave Filoni, like I could cut Deborah Chow a break, but a guy like Dave Filoni, come on, man, you could do so much better than that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
See what happens when he stops doing regular calls to RFR? The guy goes totally off the rails.
All right, so I got a flashback here because let's take a good look at the face of this flying droid.
They
fly now, and then we flip to the next picture. I think that's what we're looking at here.
That's it. Yep, the 4 eyes.
The four eyes. Yeah.
So here's a close-up of that creature, droid.
Yeah.
You have to say droid, right? I mean,
I think so.
Jawa's eyes glow, and we've never been given any explanation.
Doesn't
for
this
that.
look metal to you, though?
It does, yeah. It looks like a droid of some sort.
Yeah.
A droid.
Yeah. So, all right. Next shot. Okay. Let's talk about creatures here. And maybe Mortis. Here is what we can, obviously, is Ahsoka Tano with lightsaber drawn. But look at this creepy hand. This I'd say this is Rancor proportions in terms of what we're looking at. Not saying it's a Rancor. I'm just saying that in terms of proportionality here, that is probably the size difference we're looking at with whatever creature is emerging from behind this rock wall.
The rock wall creature. Well, you're definitely right on. I mean, the 3-clawed hand of a Rancor is kind of being seen here. Oh, did you hear that Gareth Edwards revealed that there's some sort I haven't seen the latest Jurassic World movie, but I did see the freeze frame of some sort of dinosaur that is very similar to a Rancor that appears in Jurassic World.
Oh, really?
The new one. Yeah. And
so
Gareth has gone on the record as saying, Gareth has gone on the record as saying, because he's the director of the new Jurassic World with Scarlett Johansson, Gareth Edwards has gone on the record as saying that it was directly inspired by Return of the Jedi.
All right. Good for Gareth. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
So if you're going to see the Jurassic movie, keep your eye open for the dinosaur.
Well, we were supposed to get Colin Trevorrow to direct episode 9.
Yes.
And now we got Gareth Edwards and then Colin Trevorrow, who wrote, I think did he write all 3 of those Jurassic World films, or just one?
Oh, that I couldn't tell you that.
But he was very involved in the Jurassic World, the Chris Pratt, those 3 Jurassic World films.
Well,
and now we got Gareth Edwards moving over from Star Wars into Jurassic Park.
Fabuloso.
Yeah.
Gareth's a good guy. I had some wine with him at Skywalker Ranch once. So he immediately, no matter, he could do no wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Did you get him in trouble? Because everybody, all the, Star Wars celebs, they get in trouble. They hang out with us for too long.
Gareth hasn't been back for Star Wars since then, so.
That's true. All right, so we got Ahsoka facing off some sort of creature. Again, this could be Mortis. Who knows? Next, okay, this is what's her name?
Shin Hati.
Shin Hati, yes. So an over-the-shoulder, not much to see here except just an over-the-shoulder perspective. The blonde hair, the armor on the shoulders, definitely Shin Hati. Hard to see what she's looking at.
Looks like a kind of a watercolor sort of.
It does
thing here. It's just it lacks definition. She's approaching something. It appears to be a blast door on the side of some sort of structure. Kind of reddish in color. We're seeing her from behind. It appears to be a windy day because her hair is obviously being blown around a lot, but she's just really recognizable from the color of the hair and the armor she's wearing. But yeah, there's not much to glean out of this one.
And is this Hu Yang?
That's Hu Yang, yes, with 4 lightsaber blades going. And we know Hu Yang has this capability because we saw him training Sabine in season 1, but it looks like he's not using training sabers this time around. He has 2 blue blades, 2 green blades.
Yeah, but is there something behind him?
Yeah, it appears that, yes, there is something behind him.
Is it another Hu Yang?
It almost looks like it's a double image of Hu Yang. It almost, or Huang. Yeah. I always call him Hu Yang. I always put the Y in there, but his name is Huang.
Oh, Huang. I do the Y too.
Huang. Yeah, we throw the Y in. That's what we do here at Rebel Force Radio. So don't send us any more of those damn emails. No, send us emails all the time. Show at rebelforceradio.com. We want to hear from you.
Okay, so we have a staircase over here to the right of the image. Some sort of maybe a landing platform here.
You know what?
Left.
I think this has a direct connection to the frame we saw just previous with Shin Hati. I think Shin Hati is approaching because look at the reddish. Yep. The reddish nature of this structure she's approaching. It looks like she's heading toward the blast door. And then in the next shot, we see the door is open. It's a stairwell, and Huang is there to greet her. So we might be seeing a lightsaber duel between Huang and Shin.
Aha. I love it. Yes.
That's my speculation just off that. Here's Ezra Bridger. He's ripping off his green shirts. He's got a wife beater on underneath it. And it looks like he's surrounded by other rebels, maybe in a hangar bay, and they're all moving to.
I think he's putting on the flight suit.
Oh, maybe he's putting it on. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, right. Maybe he's putting it on. He's taking it off. Whatever he's doing. But we're seeing a beardless Ezra Bridger,
beardless,
which actually has been confirmed via a Instagram post from the Ezra Bridger actor, and I forget his name, but he's really good. I like him a lot. And he put up a photo of himself, first day of shooting Ahsoka Season 2, and you see that he is beardless in that photo he posted to Instagram. And here in the concept art, we're again seeing a beardless Ezra Bridger, as he is putting on taking off a green flight suit, and all of these rebels are also, they're all moving about, getting into their places. It seems like this is a red alert situation.
Now, would the green flight suit indicate what type of ship he might be flying?
Could be A-wing.
And that's what I'm thinking, A-wing, yeah.
Yeah, so we might see Ezra Bridger flying an A-wing. That's a good observation, Jason. I'm glad you made that one, man.
Well, just looking at my figure over there.
There's the blue X-wing flight suit, which has emerged since Rogue One. I think that was the first time we ever saw the blue flight suit. And then you see some traditional orange X-wing pilot flight suit wearing pilots in the background. And what's there? A little droid there down at the bottom?
There's a little dome of a droid, and then over here to the left, there's like maybe a civilian or not a pilot over here.
Right, an officer of some sort.
It's almost like some alarm has gone off. Maybe Thrawn has just appeared, and they're all running to their fighters, and there's going to be some big showdown here. Which we know that Ahsoka Season 2 is Thrawn versus Admiral Akbar.
Big wartime activity. From what I've been able to understand is that Ahsoka Season 2 will be, the first episodes will be setting up everything, getting you to understand what happened when Thrawn returned to the Star Wars universe in his Star Destroyer with the Night Sisters, returns to Dathomir, all of that stuff. That's going to be the first half of the season, the first 4 episodes, and the second 4 episodes is going to be all-out war. Thrawn is bringing it big time to the New Republic, which kind of surprises me that's happening in Ahsoka Season 2, because I honestly felt like the war with Thrawn was going to be that Dave Filoni film they started teasing back in 2013. Now I'm beginning to think the likelihood of that particular film is basically non-existent right now. It's going to be Ahsoka Season 2. We know Lucasfilm has a lot on its plate right now. We know they have the Sean Levy film, Star Wars Starfighter, going to start shooting here in early fall, late summer, early fall. And then we know that the James Mangold film, Dawn of the Jedi, has been moving up the ranks and should be the film following Star Wars Starfighter. And then what's after that? I think it might be the Simon Kinberg trilogy. So there's a lot of things going on with Star Wars as far as its return to cinemas, and I don't think Dave Filoni's story about a war with Grand Admiral Thrawn fits into that plan. Thus, we're getting an Ahsoka Season 2. I think the original plan was Ahsoka Season 2. Sure, it left us kind of with so many loose threads, loose ends. Ahsoka was trapped in another galaxy with Sabine. Ezra had returned. All of these things. It was begging for a Season 2, but I think the plan was to have it all pay off as a cinematic feature.
Yeah, the big team up where you'd have Mando, Boba Fett, or characters from Book of Boba Fett, Mando, and then Ahsoka, all in one big epic film.
Right, but with the Disney era of Star Wars films seemingly taking so many cues from the Marvel universe, the MCU, creatives at Disney have seen that trying to connect these streaming series with feature films isn't really working because people have to do so much homework. And I think that the Disney executives might see a similar path for this Ahsoka series, The Mandalorian, everything culminating into some feature film that's going to be Dave Filoni's directorial debut. I think they've all kind of gotten a little nervous about that idea, especially after seeing how it all relates to the MCU and how threads that start in streaming and end up in the feature films end up just confusing audiences.
Yeah, I think there's only really been a couple of bona fide hit series in the Marvel universe. I think the Loki did pretty well, and I think that the WandaVision. I think that did pretty well.
Yeah,
but outside
right.
of that, it's pretty much been misses. I haven't heard any buzz, any hype outside of those two.
Agatha all along. No.
No.
I mean, a lot of them, Secret. What was that Secret one they came? It's all just been flop city for Marvel as far as streaming goes. I think Star Wars has seen a lot more success in the streaming realm than Marvel could ever even dream of at this point. But yet, still, the Star Wars cinematic and streaming universes have taken a lot of cues from the Marvel universe ever since Disney acquired it. I think Disney thought that we could just make Star Wars work like we do with the Marvel films.
Absolutely. That was the template,
and that was even,
the model.
And that was even before the unpredictability of the streaming era began. So they were committed to that, and there were pitfalls along the way. Solo, anyone? And that's what made Disney start to feel kind of once bitten, twice shy about incorporating streaming stories, spin-off stories, etc., into theatrical releases. They're trying to temper all that down and maybe maintain streaming in the realm of streaming and keep cinematic stories in the realm of feature films. That's the crossover of all of these different mediums is something I've always been very resistant about. The thing I've been most resistant about is the crossover between animation and live action. Now, taking a character like Ahsoka and making her a live action character is something that I love. I love that idea. But continuing the stories from animation into live action, I think, is a tremendous mistake. And I think we've seen plenty of examples of why that doesn't work over the course of the last 5-6 years.
We used to call them Easter eggs, where it would be one of those little things they would drop in, and it would, and for the diehard fans, it would be kind of cool because it would, harken back to something. But when you structure the whole plot, and the whole plot becomes an Easter egg, basically. The cost of entry is just way too high. You can't expect people to go back and watch season upon season of an animated series. And I love animated series, but a lot of people just consider them cartoons, and you just can't expect them to go back and, like you say, do the homework in order to enjoy this live action show.
No matter how good the animated series is, the vast majority of people who go to movies, Star Wars movies, they don't tap into the animation. It just it doesn't work that way. There's not that kind of crossover. And what happens then is the creatives paint themselves into a corner, and the Disney bean counters start freaking out. And then they make rash decisions, and crazy things happen, and nobody supports it. And so we find ourselves all kind of treading water together as a fan base. And I think we deserve a little bit more respect than that. So that's why I get kind of cranky about it from time to time.
Rebel Force Radio.
All right, let's get back to our Ahsoka Season 2 concept art breakdown. What do you got, Jason?
This looks to me like this is a much smaller character behind a little bit taller. Is this Ahsoka and maybe Jason Syndulla?
Maybe,
here?
yeah, okay, I like that. I think Ahsoka is the lead.
Yeah,
out of these two like unfocused blobs we're looking at. I believe it is Ahsoka who's taking the lead here, and that might be a shorter character, or it might be somebody just kind of like coming up. Like
could be perspective,
or incline behind them. It could be a perspective thing. What I'm seeing here is Ahsoka and Sabine, quite honestly.
Okay, yeah. Ahsoka and Sabine. And the environment, what to say really about it.
Kind of looks like some weird rock outcropping that looks like a wolf's head. And of course, Dave Filoni, the wolf,
now
that's what I'm
seeing
seeing.
The wolf.
Yeah. Can't help but see the wolf in that one. And so this looks like Paradia. I would say this is Paradia. I wouldn't say this is Dathomir. Again, nothing really outstanding about the environment except for the weird wolf's head shape of this rock outcropping or It could be a tree or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a hollowed out tree or something.
Yeah. Maybe like toppled over. I don't know.
All right, this one really, this is pretty
This is
obvious.
the weirdest
but
shot of them all.
But it is the weirdest one. This is what we can see as we have a starry background, and an explosion. And within the explosion are the red eyes and the nose and the face of Grand Admiral Thrawn. And Jim, isn't this right out of one of the old school trailers? Is this...
No, but I believe there is a film poster, maybe from somewhere from the Far East, that was created back in the days of the original trilogy that sort of reminds me of this.
What about the original trailer for Star Wars, where it has that dry voiceover and then there's an explosion and then it's the Star Wars logo, I think, within the explosion?
Okay, well, maybe that's like, it looks similar to the explosion, but what? Yeah. How do you explain the face that's
I can't explain the face other than that maybe this is a play on that old school, because even the starry background looks pretty 70s. There's something I can't put my finger on. It just looks vintagey or dated or...
No, I feel you. I get that. You know what I think we're looking at here? Might be a glimpse of an Ahsoka Force vision. Like she's seeing the future here, and it's all kind of... It's like all kind of like trippy and abstract and stuff. And we might just be seeing like a glimpse of that Force vision. That's the only way I can interpret this.
This is the weirdest one because it almost doesn't even look like concept art. It almost looks like it's a still from a bootleg trailer that I'm looking at, but it's wild. This is something. So Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn here, still with the green eyes.
Yeah.
Excuse me, red eyes.
Red.
Red
It's
eyes.
a blue face, red eyes.
Blue face, red eyes.
Very colorful personality, to say the least. That's a really, really intriguing kind of image. And it's so just out there and weird that I think it's got to be a Force vision.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
It's almost like he's like ripping into her vision almost, or like peering through the stars at her.
That's wild. Yeah.
There's also something we haven't seen in any of these is a little copyright down here at the bottom. This wasn't in any of the other ones.
Interesting.
So this felt like almost like a finale of something. So I don't know if and of course the writing. I don't know if I'm assuming it's Japanese.
I thought it was Japanese, but I'm no expert on this.
Right.
I've been to Japan before, and there are two types of Japanese script. But this might be even Korean. I can't really tell. I can't. I'm no expert on that sort of.
But are these are these captures from some sort of reel, like a reel of effect shots or not effect shots, but a reel of. Obviously concept art, but like some sort of presentation that would have been given to an effects shop or an animation studio for the work. I don't know. Wondering what the purpose of it is.
I wish we could get someone to
translate.
Transcribe. Translate this for us.
All right, so that's it. That's our Ahsoka blow by blow, play by play of the this artwork. So hopefully you're seeing it here first on RFR.
Yeah, we don't know where it came from. We don't know what it is or how it was acquired, but it ended up in our inbox and was definitely worthy of a solid breakdown and discussion. And that's going to do it for this week of RFR.
Wow. That was it, eh?
That's it. We're leaving a lot on the table,
we
but
sure
where
are.
else,
But you know
where
what?
do we go from that?
We
got next week. We got next week, buddy.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about stuff next week too.
All right.
Chewie, get us out of here!
All right, and with that, we're out of here. That's it for Rebel Force Radio for this week. Thank you all so much for hanging with us. We hope you're having a wonderful summer here And we've got so much to look forward to. And it is our pleasure to shepherd you through it as we all count it down for more Star Wars storytelling, the end of 2025 and into 2026. Huge thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. You guys really, really are, I like to think, the heart of us here at Rebel Force Radio. Thank you for all you do. If you're looking to maybe become a Patreon supporter, we encourage you to do that. Go over to patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Early in the program, we went through so many of the benefits, but just as a reminder, you get the weekly full show video, so you don't have to wait for the YouTube postings that might take a few days. As soon as the show drops, in fact, before the show even drops to the general public, we usually have that video out there. So not only are you seeing the full show video, but you're seeing it before everyone else has even heard the podcast. Exclusive podcasts you can't get anywhere else. The Q&A, the RPG, the Babu Freaks, and it's just a wonderful community of Star Wars fans. The best you can find anywhere in the galaxy, this one or that one. Speaking of YouTube, you can also watch us on YouTube. We do get a lot of video highlights up when we can. So that's all at YouTube. So please give us a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe. That's very, very helpful to us. Speaking of subscribe, you can subscribe and follow us on all the social media channels like Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram. Did I say X and Twitter? X, not Twitter, X and Instagram. RebelForceRadio.com, that's the source for all things and everything Rebel Force Radio, the official website. So please, if Patreon's not in your budget, it doesn't cost you anything to leave us a like or a thumbs up on YouTube. And what costs you absolutely nothing is to refer this show, this very podcast, the Star Wars fans in your life that maybe haven't discovered us here at Rebel Force Radio. We love, love, love to have those referrals. We also love to have your reviews. So if your podcatcher of choice allows you to do so, please leave us a review. We make it real simple. Just one small rule, please.
Make them good.
And that'll do it for us until next week. We'll see you right here at Rebel Force Radio. So for RFR, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mac.
And remember,
the Force will be with you. Always.
It better be.